Hey, welcome to Wingchair Books. I'm your host, Michael Philippone. I'm going to read a couple pieces from Mike Young's book of poetry called We Are All Good If They Try Hard Enough. It came out in September 2010 from Publishing Genius Press. It's about 80 pages long. It's like 57 poems. And I loved it. Totally awesome. So I'm going to read a couple. I wrote down a bunch of my favorites. And I figured I was going to read, as I was reading it, I was like, oh, this is my favorite, I'm going to read this one, I'm going to do a video and read this one. And then I realized I have like a dozen, and I didn't want to read a dozen because the video would be long, and by that point I feel a little awkward, like you might as well just get the book and read it yourself, really. I feel like I'm stepping on toes there reading that much. But I'm going to read three. I'm going to read three poems. They're usually short. Most of them are about a page. Some of them are two. So I'm going to read two poems. And if you want more, Mike has a lot of awesome videos. I don't know him, but he seems like a pretty cool guy. Look Mike Young up on YouTube. Or go to the website for the book. I think it's called We Are All Good. I'll link it up. If you're watching this on wingchairbooks.com, it'll be linked in the post, or on YouTube I'll link it in the info. So yeah, that's We're All Good If They Try Hard Enough. I'll read the first one. I'll read to you is it's on page 9. It's called Motivational Naivete. There's nothing wrong with being quietly astonished. Feta baked right into the bread, the woman who steals chalk with her thumb, cute girls in wheelchairs, and librarians at the disco. Barry? He's an emperor of cheese and a Mickey D's apologist, which is great. Like, my roommate bought these jeans off eBay, but they didn't fit her, so she gave them to me. Little cares whether you do, but it's hard to shrug authentically. The world moving in Bengal tigers and hyperthyroids, like one person will demand you shave and someone else will break a shot glass in your sink. But weather is the opposite of history, and or March is great for seeing people you met in a bar fight and thinking, wait, I sort of punched that guy. They look nice. I wonder where they got that sweater. Isn't it too hot for sweaters? What terrific wind. Maybe I will say hello and we can reach into graffiti exclamation marks and emoticons over our memories. Maybe this will be the day I finally like metal music because it's so nice out and I can't think of the reasons why it's so tricky to just like everything. There must be some. I'll let you know. For Barry. That was Motivational Naivete from We Are All Good If They Try Hard Enough, page 9. So I'm going to read another one on page 19. And this is called It Takes a Lot to Win, It Takes a Lot to Cry. Here in the overcoat of my heart, you're a burrowed parakeet. My anxieties, the phantom got... Fuck that one up, sorry, remember. Here in the overcoat of my heart, you're a burrowed parakeet. My anxieties, a phantom gut lump kind. Sometimes you turn hands and hands in a kind of sign language just outside the frame, and this is the style of exchange I'd most like to learn. How much carry... Oh, damn it. Here in the overcoat of my heart, you're a burrowed parakeet. My anxieties, the phantom gut lump kind. Sometimes you turn hands and hands in a kind of sign language just outside the frame, and this is the style of exchange I'd most like to learn. How much curry versus coconut milk? Is everybody made of history and aesthetics? What's the practical amount of guilt to carry if you love the way a stranger touches her lips at an oh shit recall? Why is my arm not lilac tree? Are we human or are we dancer? Life is never over being cute with me. All in a sudden, I'm sure the whom of us is preset. Checkered skirts, gestures of private demand, like how the boy rakes his temples to think harder, which means I'm thinking in terms of infinite level design, like where each non-player character has this agenda dreamed up by some minor programmer and advertised on the box. The people you're shooting also have schedules. Listen, the world arose from a system of small boredoms. Hundreds of gods on the payroll making pet projects of oil spills, cliff swallows, a floating couch, a ball of stardust said to hitchhike, Arkansas back roads, fish with whiskers and the taste of lemon, of yellow, Tell me that taste isn't deep in the code, giggled in by some guy in charge of beta testing photosynthesis and noticed only after the game embarks on its viral release. Daniel, I stole that whole idea from Douglas Adams. What you really need to know in this endless commercial failure of an MMORPG is that the original point of the game was the ocean, and how to make that ocean lead to different things. Each and every person, then, is just an Easter egg, defined by gamers as a feature you cheat to find, as a bug that you are too in love with to report. For Dan. That was It Takes a Lot to Win, It Takes a Lot to Cry. That was on page 19. Now, I'm just going to read one more. I know I'm reading 3, but I say just because I wrote down like a dozen of my favorites from We're All Good If They Try Hard Enough by Mike Young. This one's actually a long one. It might be the longest one in here. It's like 2 full pages. And it's called Now You Try. It's page 54. Your roommate has something to tell you about the sociology of chip brands. Driving has something to tell you about shivering. Your porch has something to tell you about your ex-girlfriend. Evolution has something to tell you about acne. Bay Arthur has something to tell you about drugs. Beaches have something to tell you about community. Your mom has something to tell you sometimes. The post office has something to tell you about the rest of your life. Coffee has something to tell you but can't remember. Sleep has something to tell you about accommodation. Snacks have something to tell you about waiting. Field goals in the red zone have something to tell you about what you should think of satisfaction. The internet has the sum of things to tell you. Sunglasses have something to tell you about sex. Corn fritters have something to tell you about ambition. Fog has something to tell you about your heart, but only at certain hours. Breathing has something to tell you about children. You have something to tell me you won't. The chef has something to tell you about liaisons. Strangers have something to tell you about your mood. Love has the only thing to tell you about love. Make your lover tell you something about something you do in your sleep. Boredom has something to tell you about accumulation. Whenever God has something to tell you about a particular area, an exclamation point will show up in the lower left corner of your screen. Barry Bonds has something to tell you about fighting AIDS, but this is just something I heard. First, science has something to tell you about petting. Then science has something to tell you about petting. Petting has nothing to tell you about science. Petting does have something to tell you about guessing. Malls have something to tell you about Christmas. VCR technology has something to tell you about Republicans. A good thing is something that has something to tell you about something. If you are lying in bed and there is a maple bonbon on your nightstand a little out of reach, how much and what kind of effort you employ through your body toward that bonbon has something to tell you about death. 4 a.m. has something to tell you, but it's outside. The press has something to tell you they saw, but they always wait until it's gone. Watermelons have something smart to tell you. Breakfast has something to tell you about your friends. The Decemberists have something to tell you about Russian history. Yeah, you and everyone else, dude. Dreams have something to tell you about where to swim. Movie trailers have something to tell you about what you want. M&Ms have something to tell you about your next thought. Dancing has something to tell you about worry. Cussing has something to tell you about instructions. Fights between hockey goalies have something men don't tell you. If you have something to tell me, come here. Money has something to tell you about not sleeping. What I told you was something I meant to mean something about something I had to tell you about. Knowing has something to tell you about politics. Rain has something to tell you about blame. Fruit flies have something to tell you about residency. Toll booths have something to tell you about cameras. Tell-alls sell something to have. We always have something to tell the dictionary. Please listen, I have something to tell you. Please tell me I have something. Toothbrushes have something to tell you about your sense of humor. Having tells something to use you. Your head has something to tell you about scarecrows. There's someone here for you. Do you want me to tell them to go home? That was Now You Try. Again, it's from We're All Good If They Try Hard Enough by Mike Young. from Publishing Genius Press, September 2010. I'll link it up. Go check it out. Go buy it. It was an awesome book of poetry. I liked it. You would like it. Thanks.